All right, I have a question for the high school baseball players out there. If you had only 5 months before trying out in front of your dream college coach, would you actually be ready, or are you spending time on things that do not matter? Today, I'm joined by Jake Lindmeier. Jake is an assistant coach at Dallas College Brookhaven and a private baseball instructor known for his ability to train catchers, defense, and hitting. He's coached youth players. He's coached all the way up to he was just telling me anywhere from 8 to 23. So he has a wide range of experience, but especially with catchers and with baseball especially. And so one of the things that we really want to emphasize with you guys today is really breaking down what are youth baseball players overdoing, and then what are they missing or not spending enough time on, and then what do college coaches actually want to see that matters most. So this is super relevant for you guys out there. Like, if you guys want to get noticed by college coaches, these are the things that we should be looking at. So Jake, thanks so much for joining today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So again, with all of your experience, especially like from a college coach's perspective, like what do you see that youth and high school baseball players are just spending way too much time on right now?
I mean, the cliche answer is playing too much. But I think the easiest way to go is chasing metrics.
Mm.
Um, for me, metrics matter. I'm a data nerd when it comes down to it. Like, I like to dive into it a ton. But if you can't play, you can't play. Anybody can hit a ball 100 miles an hour, but can you do it in a game facing somebody? Anybody can throw 95, but can we be in the zone? And when the entire lineup can hit 95, what do you have to match that? So for me, that's one of the big things that I look at is I look at a lot of this instruction that I see happening, and we're so mechanics driven to teach to beat metrics that it doesn't always translate. And when I'm out recruiting or out watching high school games or just getting a new kid that I'm working with, I see it all the time that they're chasing exit velo. They're chasing putting the ball in the air because everybody's talking about pull side air. And does it matter? Yes. But if you don't do it correctly, you're essentially just wasting time.
Yeah, it's funny. As you say that, I was thinking about a lot of times, like when I have calls with potential clients or with current clients, and especially the baseball players. Like, yeah, there's usually some sort of metric that we're chasing. Like, a lot of them, it's like, okay, they want to gain size or they want to lean out, but usually they're like, yeah, so my pitching velo is this, and I want to get this, or my catching velo is or my pitching or sorry, exit velo is this, and I want to like get it this level. Like, it's always about that, and it's like it's one of those things. I feel like in general we love metrics because we can see it. We can like measure it basically. But how I guess what should athletes be focusing more on um to complement the metrics?
I think for me is learning how to play the game faster. I mean, no one likes to lose. No one likes going to tournaments where they know they're going to get just beat down. But I think there is some benefit into that to see where kids are at your level. Because at the end of the day, every school is going to bring in, like the D1 levels are going to bring in 3 to 7 freshmen. College team, like junior college teams are going to bring in probably 15 to 20, but 10 of them are going to redshirt, 10 of them are going to be in the running to play, and you might see 2 to 3 on the field. So for me, I'm looking at, like, when we go recruit, I break hitters into 2 categories. Are they a scorer or are they a producer? If they're a scorer, they got to be able to run for us. They got to be able to steal bases. They got to be able to bunt. They got to be able to put the ball in play on a line, kind of stay out of the air. And then a producers, I don't want them on first base. Like, I want them to figure out how to get to second base as fast as possible, double or better. That kid's going to be allowed to strike out a little bit more. He might be a little bit more uphill with his swing. Um, but we're looking for him to produce runs. Like, run around third, get him in, run around second. He's got to score, but he's not going to score on a ball to the gap from first base. So that's going to be your 7-2, 7-3 runner. If you're in that category, you better produce or you better figure out how to get faster.
Yeah. So do you feel like when you talk about like that, you talk about those again, those speeds versus whatever, do you feel like athletes should be like kind of really trying to tap into what like at the high school level, tapping into what their strengths are, and like you talk about, like maybe speed's not your thing, and you got to focus on how can I get to those extra bases.
Absolutely. I think those that 5'9", 5'10", 150-pound kid that is gonna be that late grower. He's gonna get to 5'11", 6 foot. Will probably get to about 185 by his freshman, sophomore year of college just because of the weight program and actually getting into college and developing a little bit. I think if that kid can play to his strengths the same way that 6'2", 6'3" kid doesn't need to hit a backside ground ball, I think the more that they can understand who they are early, because that's the conversation we have with every freshman, is, hey, this is who we see you as. Let's This is who you've been in the past. Does it mesh? And can you produce to that? Because we've seen a bunch of freshmen struggle with they're just trying to hit the ball on the ground. They're trying to get the ball in play. They're trying, and he's 6'2", 6'3", 205 to 220, and I was like, dude, I don't need you doing that. I need to see how far you can hit a ball. And that's where it's like, hey, every BP round, I don't care what we're working on for the first month, I want to see how many home runs you can hit. Just see what he can do. And then we'll tone it back a little bit. Okay, let's control it. Let's go backside, but I don't want you hitting backside ground. I want you going backside air. I want you to be able to control it. So for me, that's kind of where that goes, is figure out who you are. And then when you talk about the recruiting side, you might have a dream school, but you don't fit what they look at. You don't fit what their roster looks like. And if they don't need your personality or your body type, why are you trying to go there? Because all you're going to do is sit on the bench, even if they do like you.
Yeah, I like that, and um I was thinking, like, as you're talking about that, it's funny because as soon as you said like the 6 foot 6'1", like 205 to 220, like literally fits exact mold of one of my clients who actually, or former clients, that he's now a freshman JUCO in California. I just interviewed him for the podcast too a couple days ago, and he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I know my role. Like, I'm not going to be the speed guy. Like, I've got to really develop the power. That was something that he really worked hard on his junior year, so that senior year he came in like much stronger. um, but one thing he also mentioned too, and you touched on this, is on the recruiting side too. Like, yes, finding the colleges that are looking for that. But then one thing he had said, I'm curious your thoughts on this, is like not trying to promote the things that you're not like he's not posting a 60 time all the time. Like that's not really he's like they're not looking at that for me. So kind of understanding like what they want to see from you.
Yeah, catch my attention. So if you're a guy that's going to be that kind of producer guy for us, I don't want to see your singles. I want to see your loud barrels. I want to see your doubles. I want to see your home runs. If you're a speed guy, sure, show me your home run, but show me stealing bases, show me your defense, show me a bunt hit, show me your line drives all over the place. Like that, show me that that's who you're going to be. Because if I see, again, that buck 50 soaking wet, hitting lazy fly balls that hit the wall at 350, well, our center field's 405, our left corner is 338. That ball's caught all day long. So
Yeah.
that's where I would go with that.
Yeah, I like that. What about like what are some other things you feel like athletes at the high school levels especially are not spending enough time on developing before they get to that college level?
I would say probably creating a true routine rather than just asking for all the information up front. Because when you get to the college level, you don't have your trainer, you don't have your hitting coach that you get to go to once a week, you don't have mom and dad telling you what to do. You have to kind of figure out your routine. Um, so what are you going to do extra? Because everybody's going to a 3 hour practice, everybody's going to weights, everybody's going to class. Like, how are you separating yourself from that? So I think figuring out like, hey, the extra work actually does matter, but it's not just busy work. I'm not just going to hit off a tee for 30 minutes and saying, hey, I got better. What were you looking at in those swings? What were you trying to do? What ground ball work did you do extra? For pitchers, like, yes, you can't throw all day long, but you can work your footwork down the mound. You can work your pickoffs. You can work your timing. Like, even if it's just coming set, taking a breath, and changing up your timings and looks. Like, there is so much that goes into the college game that gets exposed, especially at our level. Um, Like we stole 198 bases last year in 60 games at about an 85% clip. A lot of it was off pitchers just being high school type pitchers. Pick up the timing and we go. There's little things like that that the game is so much faster as you move up, and even the guys that leave here and go to the next level, it's even faster. So they need to get up to speed, and we try to do as much as we can to get them ready to go there. But even then, like the fall is a learning curve for a lot of
Yeah, I know, and that's what I like. That's what I see, especially as I talk to some of my players who go on to the college level, and it's nice on the. I mean, and I know there's like again, I work with multiple sports, but I see with the baseball too. But like again, something that Boston highlighted was like just as simple as like, hey, you got to start doing like these 5 a.m. workouts, or at least for him, it was like a random one. But he's like, yeah, like I'm the, not the most athletic guy on the team, but I outlasted everybody because I ate freaking carbs pre-workout versus other people having energy drinks and like whatever. And they're like, again, back to the routine piece of like, you got to figure out a routine that actually serves you versus just gets you through basically. Um, but you also talk on the mindset a lot on your like I've been seeing on your Twitter and stuff like you sprinkle in some of that mental work. Like, what do you feel like athletes on that end should be working on? Baseball players should be working on prior to going like ending up freshman year of college.
I see it so much on the high school and youth level. Like if I don't perform, I'm not going to get recruited. If I don't go to this camp, I'm not going to get recruited. Like be where your feet are is the biggest thing for me. But understand we're not trying to be perfect. We don't play a game that's perfect. I posted it this last week, I think. But I got to listen to the mental skills coach for the Seattle Mariners,
Okay.
and he was talking about like we have to be good twice a day. Like if you can win, if you see 15 pitches and you win two of them, you probably went 2 for 4 on the day. But us looking at, hey, I have to get a hit in this at bat. Well, you just put a ton of pressure on yourself to be good verse 2 years ago, or it might have been 3 years ago now, but I got shirts made that said suck less because dealing with the kids, they were so uptight about being so good. I was like, listen, we just have to suck less than that guy right now. And if we can do that, we'll be okay. And just kind of flipping the script on like, hey, I don't need to be good. I just have to suck less than that guy does. We're going to be okay. So that was kind of a fun, just change the mindset of, hey, what am I trying to do in this at bat? What am I trying to do in this pitch? So talking on that side of it, like slowing down and realizing like if I strike out here, it is not the end of the world. My career does not end. I get to keep playing. There will come a time where, hey, this is going to be your last at bat, and what do you do with it? But that's what 2,000 at bats later, where you've actually figured everything out and then you get into coaching and go, why didn't I do that for 10 years? So, um, but for me, it's just like slowing down and understanding what the game needs right in this moment and then resetting to be your best and stand to your approach.
Yeah, no, I love all of that, and yeah, I mean, it is the suck less like that, just as simple as that. Like it puts it in perspective. It's just like when we talk about baseball being a failure sport, but I think it's said so much now that it's like we've got to like use some other things to kind of keep the brain fresh. I'm like, oh yeah, suck less like that fits, especially again with failure sport, kind of thinking. So I really like that. What about so you having a strong background with catchers specifically and training a lot of catchers, like what do you see even on the catcher side, like biggest things that they're missing in their development before they get to the college level?
Being able to control a game. A lot of the kids that at least we recruit, um, I, I recruit hitters behind the plate. I feel like I can teach you to catch enough or be serviceable for us. Next thing I'm going to look at your arm. Um, I'd like to see you be a good receiver, a good catcher, but if you can control a game, you don't have to be a loud communicator. Like I think that's one of the things that we get lost in a lot. Like for the catching world, is we want this loud leader behind the plate, and I don't necessarily think that's needed. I think a guy that can sit back there, know what the pitcher's flaw is, know what the pitcher's cues are, know what the umpires are like, be able to have a conversation with them. I think he doesn't have to be really loud behind the plate if the entire team knows what they're doing. Now, at the high school level, you're going to have that sophomore that got pulled up to varsity. You're going to have those juniors that are going to play other sports in college that are just playing baseball because they want to be with their friends. You're going to have those other couple kids that don't want to play in college but want to finish out their high school careers. So the dynamic's a little bit different, so you might need to be a little bit more vocal. But if you can be that leader where guys look to you and you're always doing the right thing and controlling the game, being that kind of coach on the field, I think that's the biggest piece that I see missing at the high school level. So a lot of the individual work that I do is like, yes, we're doing a lot of skill work, but now I'm going to make you do decision making. I'm going to make you go through your entire movements of like, okay, give a sign, get set, tell me what you're thinking here. Let's build off that. But it's more of the can you control the game? And I don't need to just be the rah rah yell guy, and you can actually control the game. Like, where is this pitcher missing right now? What am I doing wrong? What is this umpire zone look like? That type of stuff. Because we see these guys ripping balls at the professional level. Those umpires are really good. They don't miss much. I mean, the average is like 92, 93%. But at the high school level, you see balls that are getting called off the in the other batter's box, 3 balls down, 4 balls up, way inside. Like you're getting a ton of strikes called, so and the receiving's not great. So as long as you can catch the ball and throw it and keep runners from advancing, do you really have to be the best receiver? Probably not. But if you want to play at the college level, you have to hit. Like that's just what it is.
I I really like that, and I really like the like, again, you talk about the coach on the field piece because it's like when you think about even the best coaches, yeah, some of them might be more on the vocal side, but they also earn it by all the things that they do quietly, essentially, and I think that's where you kinda see as a, when you have those leaders on the team, again, same thing, they're not always the loudest people, but, like, people are going to follow and, like, teammates are going to stand behind them and really listen to, like you said, their cues and all those different things. So yeah, I think it's been cool for me to see, like, as I've like this past year, I feel like I've earned a huge, or I've seen much more respect for the catching position because it is so demanding. And I mean, I get to see it front row with Cal Raleigh and the Seattle here, but I think just in general, like, I just see how much goes into that position. And yeah.
About a guy that hits. There you go.
Yeah, I know that was it was a good year. It was a good year. We should have went all the way, but it is what it is.
It happens.
Yeah. What about, let's talk about, like, when we think about recruiting, what are some, and you kind of touched on this already, like, what are some traits or habits that immediately earn trust from a college coaching staff? Like, if you guys are watching them, either online or even if you're seeing them in person.
I want to see how they react with their teammates. I want to see how they react with umpires. I want calls to go against them. I want them to have a bad day at the plate. I want to see it go bad because if you swing and miss, I can still see what your swing looks like. You've already sent me the video. If I'm at a game watching you, I've already seen something I like. I want to see what it looks like in game. But for me, the way that I recruit is like, okay, let's put 20 pounds on them. Let's give them an extra step of speed and a little bit more power. Does he fit in our lineup? Does he fit or make us better than we are right now? Because if he is going to blend, and this is how we kind of tell our freshmen, if you stand out in the fall, it's probably not a good thing. You have to blend in the fall, and then by your sophomore year, you can start standing back out again because you want to get recruited again. But if you're going to make a spring roster your freshman year, you can't stand out in the fall because I think maybe once in a blue moon you're going to see a freshman be like, that kid's really good. Yeah, that's a good standout. But most of the time you're standing out in the worst way possible. You're a step slow. You're not working as hard as the sophomores are. Your swing needs a little bit more work. Your defense needs a little bit more work. You need a little bit more arm strength. Like that's what stands out to us in the fall of all the negatives. We play fast. So if you blend into what the sophomores that just had success last year are doing, got a pretty good shot to be a part of it. But if you're standing out, we're gonna sit there and I promise you it's gonna be something bad and it's not gonna be in your favor.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, I guess that's, but it makes sense, like, yeah, what about, like, if they what if as a freshman though they start showing like even some of the leadership qualities like I mean I see with as I mentioned with Boston like I mean just how he carries himself, but even like listening to him in the interview it was like dang dude like you really have a lot of perspective for somebody that's like coming into this. Like would do you see those types of things in your freshman and
Yeah, like you'll see the freshmen that have a chance to be really good, right? But I'm not going to give them the pass of being, okay, you're a really good freshman. Do you match what the sophomores are doing? Like this year we have I think 10 position players on the sophomore side, and we're trying to add in freshmen and transfers that fit that mold, and in the fall our our top group was our starting lineup last year minus our second baseman and right fielder. So we're interchanging that. We're interchanging the catching spot just because we want our catchers to catch every um, pitcher that we have. But we throw our top group out there for what we think was from last year's group, and then we see who meshes with it. And then we'll pull one of them out and put someone else in and see how that group meshes. But even those guys that stand out, if they're going to be the best player on the team, they need to still blend into the team. If you're going to be, oh, you're our best player, that's great. But if you're going to be the best player that no one likes, you better be a really good player. Like I'm talking hit 450, 500, have 10 pumps. It's just great. You're an awesome player. You're here for a year and we're going to go find something else or try and build around you and completely revamp a team. But in my 5 years here, we've had a couple of those guys that were really talented and they didn't mesh well with the rest of the group and they're here for a year. We go find better the next year and they're out by spring semester just because they didn't fit the group that we're trying to put together. They didn't fit the culture.
okay that yeah I got you there. That makes a lot of sense. um What about so this kind of shifting a little bit. I try to focus more athlete focus on the podcast, but I was thinking about yeah, I mean, I feel like parents in many ways can either do too much or too little. Like there's kind of like a and I know this could be a whole podcast in itself, but like but what do you feel like parents like just simplifying it to what can parents or how can parents best support their athletes development without being becoming that distraction?
Be a fan, not a fanatic. Um, Celebrate the good. Be there to support. Don't just cheer for your kid because I can guarantee you if we come to a game, you can tell whose parent is who just based on at bats, how everything's going, who's on the bench. It's very easy to tell. Um, but I think the biggest thing is figure out what your kid wants because a lot of the times I think parents push the idea of scholarships and where they want their kid to go and the kind of brand image that they think their kid deserves. And every kid that works hard deserves something, right? But in the world that we live in, coaches aren't just going to find you. Like, I'm not going to see a kid in Seattle unless he DMs me or it scrolls across on Twitter, and I'm probably not going to see him play unless he comes to Texas. So if he's interested in us, how am I supposed to see him? But then at the same time, like we do a lot of interactions, like when we have visits on campus, like we're gonna talk to the parents, we're gonna make sure that they kind of fit the mold that we're looking for. We're gonna pay attention to is the parent taking over the conversation or are they letting the kid talk? I think the biggest thing for me on the parent side is we want you to be a part of it, but you're not gonna be here for the majority of our work. So is your kid going to be okay with that? And are you going to be okay with that with us being hard on?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I mean that's really good. And I like, you know, cuz I mean, yeah, when we think about the college it's like a lot of kids have a hard time adjusting just to college itself alone, not even minus sports. So like can they adjust to being on their own like on the sports side of things too because it's such a adjustment for sure. A lot and it's an adjustment that not everyone goes so well like it doesn't go so well and so yeah I think that's huge um you know and that's where I really like to see the parents who like even when I talk to like you know potential clients and stuff like parents I always love hearing when they're like want them to do this, but they have to want it. Like we got to let them like put it in their court, and then they want to like make sure they're going to do the work versus like parents constantly nudging them type of thing. So yeah.
And that's one of the fun things for me, like with my lessons. Once they get into high school and have their phone, and like as long as the parents are good with it, once they start scheduling lessons with me, I'm not talking to the parents about scheduling lessons. If the kid's already texting me about XYZ, whether it be like games and mental stuff or what schools to talk to, if you want a lesson, you talk to me. I don't need mom and dad scheduling your lesson. I will fit you in, but when I get the text from the parent from the kid that was just texting me, I'm gonna say he can ask me.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't need to do his dirty work. Like if he wants the lesson, he calls me, and that's where you've seen kind of the grow up with the kids that I've worked with from 12 to 13 years old. Now they're 16. Some of them have gone on to college. Like it's fun to see. Like, okay, yeah, they've grown up a lot over the last 4 to 5 years.
No, yeah, I definitely see that. Like I see the contrast with even yeah my clients and ones I've worked with. Um, I want to wrap up like putting the ball more into your court as well on this one, and really just however you want to tackle this one. But I mentioned at the beginning of like future that future tryout essentially of like if a high school player had 5 months before trying out in front of you, what would be the top three areas most players would need to clean up or improve to get themselves a real shot of playing for you guys?
I think confidence is number one. Um, Rolling in and actually being confident in themselves without being arrogant about it. I see a lot of self-doubt when kids come on visits or workouts or we're at a showcase, like they see a bunch of coaches and they freak out. One of the best things I've ever heard one of my mentors, if you're going to stress out about me being there at your tryout, how are you going to be in the dugout with me for 56 games? Because if you're going to stress out about me just watching you, I'm going to be at every practice. I'm going to be at every game. You got to get over it. That would be number one of just being who you are and finding the place that fits. Uh, Number two, obviously bigger, faster, stronger. That's the easy one. Don't skip the weight room to get your private workout in. I think there's some big piece of that. The kids that can't gain weight don't eat enough. I don't care if they're eating 5,000 calories, like they might need 6,000. You got to figure it out because I promise you, you can gain weight if you work at it. And then just figuring out who you are, figuring out what your process is, figuring out what you want out of a program, whether it be the school side of it, whether it be what type of offense that they run. Are they more of a smash the gaps and live and die by the long ball, or are they going to be a little bit more team oriented, or are they going to be a small ball team only? Figuring out what programs fit that, and then I mean, if you can answer those three, I think you're in a really good position. We use a thing with the kids that I help with recruiting called Find Your Fit. And Anthony Plouffe, he was at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. He's now doing the travel ball world. He sent it to me, and it's what do you want to study? Where do you want to live? What can you afford? What do you want campus life to be like? And can you play there? And I think if you can answer those five things, your school kind of picks yourself rather than you trying to figure out where you're going to go. So that would be my spiel on that.
Yeah, I like that. And that's very like yeah, very clean cut and very clear. And it again, you didn't talk so much about, again, nothing about metrics right there or anything like that. It was a lot of internal things and again, things that are in your control essentially. Um yeah, no, I love that. Any last things you want to leave baseball players, listeners with?
I think the biggest thing that I keep going back to is find your process, figure out what is good for you, figure out where you're lacking, and build on those as much as building your strengths. Like don't be afraid to keep building the strengths that you have while you're picking up your floor. Um, but don't leave the floor where it is. Keep raising that.
That's a good way to end this. I won't even add anything to that. But Jake, thanks so much for hopping on today. That was really good. Lots of good nuggets for the athletes out.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And athletes, you guys already got what you need to do. If you rewind 30 to 60 seconds, you already got your list. So roll with that. And as always, keep striving for greatness.